And the theme of the day is still about interest rates at this point. And now we're going to find out the impact of high interest rate environments for startups and fintechs and how they're navigating that environment right here in Nigeria. Joining us now is Dr. Babatunde Obrima, is COO, Fintech Association of Nigeria. Joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to me about how, this high interest rate environment is impacting, fintech startups at this time. Also, we know that they're still having to deal with narrow volatility.
Well, definitely. I mean, inflation is a general problem that affects everybody and affects the fintech. I mean, cost of operations is gone higher, so which will affect, I mean, their P&L at the end of the year, because also it's a regulated environment where there's a limit to the charges you can charge. So it's and that's why you see fintechs wants to grow the numbers so that they can use that to compensate for the cost of operations. I mean, so that it balances out. Of course, naira volatility is a big challenge. It's a demand and supply, and like Mr. Rewane also had alluded to, I mean, supply is low, demand is high. So it's a big challenge. I think that well, we all need to protect the naira and start to change some things that we do, maybe habits, dress. I think let's dress Nigeria. That things that let's instead of buying the $1,000 suits. So I think that it's a huge challenge for us at fintechs, at the fintech ecosystem. Cost of operations it's high, and we hope that the NPC will do something that will help to, I mean, reduce inflation. I mean, as we all know, it's the whole idea of increasing interest rate is to reduce borrowing so that demand can drop. But I think that works better in a credit-based environment. In a cash-based environment like ours, it's a huge challenge, and that's why the rate of the impact is not as fast as we expect, like Mr. Rewane had mentioned earlier on. I mean, why you can see the rate of growth reducing, it's because, I mean, these factors. We hope that with the introduction of credit corp, that could have a longer lasting effect eventually on rates and how interest rates are used to manage inflation.
Right, and talking about, fintechs trying to add more numbers, at this time. Remember the CBN did direct some of these fintechs not to onboard new customers, at this time. How do you see that impacting them in the short term?
Well, it will in the short term, but I think in the long term, it will be better for the fintechs. I mean, regulators have to do their own job. I think that when you look at regulating a digital space, it's at times things are missed, I guess. So the regulators have gone in there and they say, oh, we've noticed some things, we want you to correct these things, but we don't want you to add new ones to it, sort this out. And then once we confirm that you've sorted out those issues, you can start opening accounts again. So I think it's just a short-term challenge that will be sorted out. And I know that the fintechs are all working, we're all working around the clock. We can deal with some of the observations that the regulators have made.
And we know the fintechs and the startups, they need a lot of funding, at this time. Cost of credit is going up right here, still quite elevated in Nigeria. And I know we import, funding, for these, startups and fintechs. So what's your outlook, for funding going forward?
Well, so funding will still be a bit challenging. We could see it from last year. I mean, 2022 was $1.2 billion. Last year was just about $300 million. And that's because even the investors have changed their models. Before they were looking at numbers. Now they want to see the money. They want to see where the profit is coming from. So, and they're more concerned now about governance structures than what they used to do. So we're still going to have a bit of some challenges. But even at that, I mean, in the first quarter of this year, about $464 million was raised in Africa, Nigeria leading with $165 million. So, I mean, we will see funding, but I mean, for me, I always say that it's time to start looking at the verticals. I mean, nobody wakes up and say, today I want to pay Flutterwave, or I want to pay into Switch. I mean, they're just platforms. We pay for food, for shelter, for transport. So we need to start developing those verticals, the agri-tech, the insure-tech, the health tech, the trans-tech. I mean, every day you go in traffic, you see people fighting with conductors over change, or conductors are merging people with change. We can use technology to drive that, even in these Kia buses and all the other means of public transport. So those are the areas that we also need to start focusing on. When you look at the fact that disposable income, 56.7% goes into food, then the agricultural sector is a place to really look at how do we fix broken chains in the agricultural value chain.
Right, and definitely I know some investors on the sidelines will be looking for opportunities in this space at this time. Are there any opportunities you're seeing that most people are not seeing right now in the fintech space?
So I think that the biggest challenge we have in the space today, and not just fintech, in the financial sector, is cybercrime. So looking at investors, fintechs who are looking at solutions for cybersecurity, I think that investors will look at them because that's a space where everybody's impacted. Banks, fintechs, and not even non-banks institutions. So people hacking into systems. So it's an area I think that investors should look at. Also, the verticals are areas that investors should also look at. I mean, take insurance, for example, just 3% penetration. So insurtech is a good space to look at. As a matter of fact, NICOM has mandated the Fintech Association of Nigeria to work with it so that we can develop a fintech adoption roadmap for the insurance sector. Although that's a 9-month project, but at the end of the day, we think that it will change the insurance industry strategically to be a digital driven sector.
Right. All right, we'll keep tracking those opportunities. Thank you so much for coming on, Dr. Babatunde Obrima, the CEO of Fintech Association of Nigeria. It's great having your perspective today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so that's it from me on Business Morning. Markets are open today and definitely bracing for that decision from the MPC. That's the third one for 2024. Is it going to be a hike or hold? We'll find out right here on Channels Television by 1 p.m. I'm Ladi Williams. It's bye for now. Back to the Sunrise Daily team.